y'all, I am Crafty Hope and welcome to my ICAD video number 42. Now I'm working with both prompts, the Daisy Yellow prompt, which is silver, and the Mixed Media ICAD prompt, which is direction. I have some Martha Stewart silver paint and a hand-carved stamp that looks like an arrow. That was going to be for my direction one. And you know what? I use these, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to end up covering it all up because I hate it. But I'm going to show you this because it's going to kind of be part of that whole idea that don't forget when you're making art, you can cover it up. If you don't like it, there is no reason to keep it. There is no reason to make it become more precious than it is just because you use some things and techniques that you did like. If you don't like that, start over, cover it up, do something else. That is what's going to happen here. So I'm starting here with just a little bit of collage. It didn't really matter what I was putting down. I did pull out a piece of paper over there where I had punched out a bunch of circles on it, and that's going to give a little bit of texture to this. So you'll see here, that's this paper here. It's got these great circles in it, so I'm going to glue that down, and you see I am putting the glue on the paper that I'm gluing to and not on the back of the paper I'm gluing, and that's because it's just too hard to get through all those holes. And to continue that circle accent, I've got those are reinforcers that I had jelly printed for another project, and I'm just sticking those on there for additional texture on here. So, if you don't know about ICAD, it is a challenge that runs each June and July. It is from Tammy of Daisy Yellow. You'll find her as Gypsy999 on Instagram. And she gives some prompts, but there's also some other people who give out prompts, and I've got information about that below with some links and all of that. So we are moving on with this card. I am putting down some black heavy gesso. This is the Prima Marketing heavy gesso, and I'm doing that because of the silver prompt. I knew that silver paint needed a dark background in order for you to be able to see it. So that's why I'm just putting that black gesso down. And I have pulled out my little 3x5 jelly plate, but basically I'm just using that as a palette. So I am rubbing that brayering it out and just using it as a palette for my arrow stamp. And see, doesn't that show up really beautifully on that card now? If I had tried to stamp that silver on that paper that was there, it wouldn't have been near as visible. But again, none of this matters because I end up hating it. But we're going to come out with something on the other side that I really, really do like. So stick with me. It is a long one. All right, so that is, what is that? It's Distress Oxide in something preserve. I can't remember the name of it. I will have it in the description box below along with links to any of the other supplies that I've used. I'm also going to put right about here somewhere a link up in this upper right corner to how I hand carve stamps out of erasers so that you can access that. So Distress oxides tend to be fairly opaque, and I thought that would be really neat on top of that black and that silver. But as you can see, it just did not work out. So I'm going to try again with this something lilac. Again, I'll put it below. I didn't water it down quite as much, and I'm putting it again over my card. What I was trying to do was accent those circles, all of my little circles I had on there. But that doesn't work so much. I ended up washing out some of them. So this is Time Travel Teal, which is a Lindy's Stamp Gang spray. It's got a great metallic to it. I thought, hey, that'll be fun. Let me throw that on there. And so I did. And you can see that beautiful color on there. But again, doesn't matter. That teal does add a little bit to what's coming up because those are water soluble, so anything you put on it is going to be a little, I don't know, like here. This is some tulip fabric spray in white, and I kind of sprayed that on there, and where it touches that Lindy's spray, it's going to make like a blue. So you see that blue that's kind of coming through from the Lindy's spray. And this is where things really, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, this is awful. So I was like, let me just add to it. So I've got a Stabilo Woody in this lime color, and I'm making some marks thinking I can fix this. Look at me fixing it. I really did like that. Those green marks are really neat. But I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, and so I pull out this, what is that? I can't see it. Abandoned coral. Haha. And I decided to, because I lost my stamps in the background, so I thought, well, I'll put abandoned coral stamps with my arrows and bring those arrows back in. And no, I don't like that either. It is a hot, hot mess. So this is some lace that I had put, I think, a joint compound across, which makes it kind of brittle but kind of neat and stiff. And I've got this little image. I think it's a Tim Holtz Field Notes pack is where I got it from. So it's got a little, some kind of insect, a hornet or a bee or something that's on there. And I decided I'm going to make a little stack and put it on there. Here's a piece of paper I have with some metallic paint that I'm going to stack on behind this to give it some of the hints of that like silvery metalliciness. So I'm liking that stack and I'm moving it around. It's going to go right there in that lower right corner, don't worry. And I decided to go ahead and glue it down. I pulled out, so that little paper was just some newspaper that I had colored, so my Ohu glue stick is fine. But for that heavier lace, I'm using my matte gel medium. And since the little insect card is kind of a cardstock weight, I'm going to go ahead and use the matte gel for it as well to get it all down, just as an adhesive. And me playing around with things. I pulled out a little tin I have of some words I've cut out of different texts, books, and whatnot, and found one that says he was horrified, which I thought was kind of funny to go with an insect because there's so many people that really just can't deal with insects. So I thought that kind of worked. And I'm going to stick that down, and I'm thinking, okay, all right, this is looking a little bit better. And really, y'all, looking at it right here, it's not too bad. It just felt so busy to me. I've got so many things. It wasn't really speaking of the prompts that we had used, and I'm just not liking it. So yeah, there's my thumbs down. So I'm coming back in. I've got some gesso here. This is just the Liquitex Basics gesso and a paintbrush, and I am going to work my way around this card. And you see, as I put down that gesso, that blue is popping back up through. So yeah, that Lindy's spray, if you use it, know that it will kind of make its own color with things, which was fine in this case. It gave a little color to it. The gesso itself, gave the opacity, and so it kind of gives me a color there. And I am just kind of just going around those focal pieces that I had put down, and I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm letting some of that black kind of show around the edges, and I'm lifting up the pieces I can lift up and just kind of making this work. So, and there I'm working out some of that blue that's in there, trying to get a little bit more white down. And then I'm going to dry it real quick before, so that I can really try to get that white down, because the white I have down has sealed the, whatchamacallit, has sealed in behind the gesso. So I can't push all that blue back yet, but I'm pushing some of it back. And I'm being a little meticulous about this. And I think I'm going to come in just a second with an Arteza metallic paint, which is one of the metallic paints I used on that little piece of newspaper. and I can't remember the color, but again, I'll put it down below. It's part of a set, a metallic set of Arteza acrylic paints that I have. And I was just trying to get that like metallic-y silveryness in there. And I'm not going to add it over that whole white area, but just a little bit to kind of spread out from that focal to kind of pull your eye back into that focal. And then I wanted a little splash of something, so I've got my Jane Davenport watercolors. These are the brights, and I'm going to use the, it's the limey green. No, first I'm going to use some of that blue. I can't remember the colors, but it's part of that set. So it's the light blue that's in that set, and then I'm going to get some of the lime green that's there and splash it on there. Just do a little bit of splatter right there. And that's, and in the end, I'm really loving this card. So I worked through it. Now I'm taking my Pilot V5 pen and just kind of framing it up with some scribbles and lines. And that's going to be it for this card, y'all. I'm glad you stuck with me, and you can see how I elevated something I really didn't like into something that works so much better. I am so appreciative that you came over here and took these 11 minutes and 44 seconds to spend with me. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Keep on crafting on. Thanks for watching. Bye.